And here is the audience, looking very lovely and fine this afternoon. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, so my name is Leslie Licari, and I am here to let you know that in 2014 alone, 1,580 children died from child abuse and neglect. And 4 to 5 children die per day from this horrible suffering, and everybody needs to know about it. It's a really serious problem in our society. So this right here represents a child's classroom, and roughly 1/4 of a child's classroom is the 4 to 5 children that die per day. So we'll get into this a little bit later. But basically everyone needs to know about child abuse because kids don't have a voice to speak up and say, this is happening to me. So we need to be good friends and neighbors and loved ones and help these kids that are in need. So community involvement, even if you don't have a child, can really help save these kids and get involved with your young people in your community. So I have chosen to talk about this today because I am a survivor of domestic abuse, and I know what it's like to have low self-esteem and suffer from abuse. And I also have a son who is 13 years old, and he's very important in my life, so I'm here for him and representing all the kids today. So now that you know a little bit about my story and why I'm so passionate about this cause, I'll start with some statistics. So in the U.S., every 10 seconds, a report is made regarding child abuse and neglect. So you can just imagine how many times a report is made regarding this speech. And 80%, so this chunk right here, is all children under 5. So this whole circle here is all the abused kids, but 80% are under 5, and then 70%, another large chunk, are under 2. And as we spoke about before, 1/4 of the classroom really gives you an idea of how prevalent this problem is. So here are some basics that I got from a website called blueknot.org. And basically, emotional abuse is shouting, intimidation, just making a kid feel humiliated, things like that. And no love and attention. They can't get an education, they can't have a social life, they can't have friends. So that really isolates them and makes them feel terrible. And neglect is when you keep a child from having food, clothing, shelter, basic needs. Love and support really helps nurture a healthy child. So neglect, there's no excuse for it. If you're poor, there's many programs, there's all kinds of opportunities to better your child's life. And physical can sometimes be confused with discipline, but the difference in physical abuse is hitting, slapping with intent to hurt, and striking with an object, these horrible things that kids go through when a parent is lashing out in anger. It can be very bad. And then sexual abuse obviously is horrible. It can involve many people, one parent, pornography, filming them, using them. It's just, the list goes on and on for the sexual abuse, and it is really, really bad. So now that you know the basics of the 4 abuses that I talked about, you can learn some long-term effects. So all of these abuses here are tied together in terms of long-term effects. Sorry, you can't see that. Drug use, patterns of abuse being carried on to another family, to your future family. physical abuse can cause stomach problems, chronic pain, all sorts of physical issues. And then the sexual abuse can cause promiscuity later in life and suicide and mental health problems. So it's easy to see how people can be affected in the long term from these situations. So what we can do in our lives is report any abuse that we see. You know, if you're out to eat at a restaurant, if you're in public and you see abuses happening, especially to children, report it to Department of Social Services. You can call the police. You can remain anonymous, but the point is to get the information out there. And one inspirational person that I read about on a website that I mentioned in my outline says, you don't have to suffer, and you didn't have to suffer in the first place. Thank you.
5:59.
Oh yeah, we need to go over the audience one more time.
Yes.
And thank you for listening. Thank you for being here today. Such appreciation.
Very good.